listening to Tapped In, Buncombe County's half hour to empower on WRES 100.7 FM in Asheville. Listen up and get tapped into local important resources, information, and topics. Learn more about the topics of today's show at buncombecounty.org. Okay, it's time to get tapped in.
Well, hello, and greetings to all that hear my voice. You know what time it is. It is time to get tapped in. And I am one of your hosts, ZaKiya Rogers.
And I'm Leonard Jones.
Leonard and I come to you from the Communications and Public Engagement Department of Buncombe County, where heroes wear capes.
Joining us today are two guests from Buncombe County that works with the Park and Recreation. Thomas Gull, Buncombe County's Park and Recreational Principal Planner, and Catalina Otero, the Information and Communication Specialist for Buncombe County Parks and Recreation. Currently, the county is in the process of creating a system-wide park and recreational master plan, and we would like to inform our listeners about upcoming events and how they can participate in this process. Welcome, Thomas and Catalina.
Thank you for having us.
Hello. It's so good to have you all here. So we always love for our guests to introduce themselves to our listeners so they know who they're talking to. So Catalina, because you're on my right side, go ahead and let you go first.
So my name is Catalina Otero, and I'm an information and communication specialist for Buncombe County and Parks and Recreation. And I've been here now for about 9 months, and I've been loving every minute of it.
Awesome. All right, and Thomas?
Yeah, so I have been with the county now for about a year. I came in January of 23.
Okay.
Prior to that, so I'm a licensed landscape architect by trade, but my role here at the county, as Leonard mentioned, is a principal park planner. Prior to my time with the county, I spent time with North Carolina State Parks, as well as some multidisciplinary engineering and design firms in the Raleigh-Durham, Chapel Hill area.
Oh, wow. Architect engineering?
Yeah, so I'm a landscape architect, but the way that works is a lot of landscape architects worked within like engineering and development type firms. So yeah, I spent some time doing that.
That is amazing. Okay, when we get off the show, I'm going to ask you a lot of questions that have nothing to do with what we're talking about today. So, I see you're currently in process of creating a system-wide park and recreational master plan. Can you explain what a system-wide park and recreation plan is?
Yeah, so I'll answer that one. Our system-wide parks and recreation master plan in Buncombe County is a little bit different than other counties because we're really combining 3 different master planning efforts. Mm-hmm. So we're combining our open space plan, which the county has not had before. So this will be the county's first open space plan. We're also doing a Greenways and Trails Master Plan update. The last time that the county had a Greenways and Trails Master Plan was 2012, I believe. Mm-hmm. So it's time for an update. As we all know, a lot of development has kind of happened in our area since then. So it's kind of re-looking at some of those proposed Greenway corridors and seeing if they still make sense, if they're still feasible. And then finally, we do have our Parks and Recreation Master Plan that is the third kind of component of that system-wide plan. And why this is kind of good for the county, why I believe it's good for the county is because we're really able to do this at the same time so that, each of these plans can work in concert with each other. Mm-hmm. So that we're really taking advantages of those areas of overlap and making sure that we're making connections where those connections need to be made. So
I had a follow-up question around that. So you mentioned open space, greenways, and park. What's the difference between all 3 of those?
Yeah, so our parks, our parks are kind of what we traditionally think of as kind of parks. Mm-hmm. In our county, looking at my cheat sheet here, for our county system, we have 8 parks, more traditional parks, 7 river parks. We also manage 3 community centers, 5 pools, and then 1 nature preserve. So those are kind of your city or traditional, what you would think of as city or county park. Mm-hmm. Buncombe County Sports Park is one of ours. Charles D. Owen Park is another. And then Lake Julian is kind of one that everybody in the community knows. Mm-hmm. So those are kind of your parks. Mm-hmm. And then you have the greenways and trails. Many of us can relate to the greenway that's down in the River Arts District. Mm-hmm. that's kind of what we're thinking for talking about when we talk about greenways. And then open space, we're really talking about kind of a semi-new typology to the county in like a nature preserve. We do have, as I mentioned, the one nature preserve, which is Collier Cove, but it's really like, providing access for the general public to these areas that are undeveloped. They may have trails or other like kind of nature viewing areas, places where people might want to do yoga or something that's less impactful on the land.
Okay.
So that's something that we're trying to provide more of throughout the county, especially through our open space bond that passed.
Okay. Thanks for elaborating on those. So can you explain how the system-wide park and recreational master plan will be used?
Yeah, so one thing is that we are a relatively large county, Buncombe County is, and we have a decent countywide park system, and our annual budget for the entire year is about $2.5 million.
Okay.
So while we are kind of a great park system, we do want to kind of expand access and equitability to our residents of Buncombe County, and the way we have to do that, or one way we want to do that, is to improve our facilities. We want to expand our facilities, so adding new parks, new trails, new open spaces, and with a budget of $2.5 million per year, it's really hard to do that.
Yeah.
So one of the things that our system-wide Parks and Recreation Master Plan actually enables us to do is to seek outside funding via grant opportunities. So that is the major kind of takeaway. The kind of end goal is, hey, we can use this plan for those grant opportunity pursuits. Now, kind of in the shorter term, what we really hope to develop through those master plans is having goals that we clearly define and a path to reach those goals. And we can get into kind of the public engagement aspect of the master plan, but we really hope to develop those goals through our public engagement process that we'll talk about here shortly.
Oh, public engagement process. So we love us some public engagement.
Can I follow up with another question?
Oh my goodness.
Well, I got another question. Just because of the listeners here today, we know that Buncombe County looking at the unincorporated parts of the county.
Correct.
But we also know the city of Asheville has also been working on this master plan. So how would those plans, would there be any kind of connectivity between those, or y'all using some of the similar information? Because we know a lot of our listeners may be living within the confines of the city of Asheville and feel like they may have already participated in this. So how can we differentiate the two, but so community know that we're like they input, even if they contributed to the city of Asheville, we want them to participate in the counties as well.
Yeah, that's a great question. So early on, it was brought to our attention that the city's doing this by like right at the exact same time that the county is, and that's I would think that that's pretty rare actually. So you're right. There is some kind of overlap there, and people are like, well, I just filled out a survey, or well, you might not have filled ours out. So it is important that people understand whose survey they're taking. One thing that we did early on in our process, like before it even started, is we actually met with the city of Asheville staff, and we were hoping that our tracks were actually going to be a lot more aligned than they are.
Yeah.
So we were hoping that we would actually be able to do some of the public engagement together, but they're actually tracking a little bit ahead of us because we have those extra components that I talked about.
Yes.
So while we're not being able to kind of take advantage of having a combined event where we're able to like clearly speak to the differences and how we can address those, we have an agreement with the city where we're sharing the data that we're able to collect from our individual public engagement processes. So if we were able to if we took some public engagement or some public input during one of our public engagement events that was more directly related to a city park, we have open lines of communication and definitely share that with them and vice versa. So
great. So there are two-part master plans out there, but we do encourage people to participate in the Buncombe County Park and Master Plan and public engagement.
You see how he just took all over my area? You see that, guys? So back to where I was going. Oh, public engagement. We love us some public engagement. Can you talk to us about what public engagement has happened and what is coming up?
Yeah, so I will speak on that. Public guidance is the cornerstone of this planning process. The planning process being implemented includes extensive opportunities for the community to help identify needs and priorities, while ensuring underserved and underrepresented groups in our community have opportunities for input. Public engagement events include interactive community meetings, stakeholder interviews, focus groups, pop-up events throughout the county, and surveys. And currently, there is an online survey that anyone can take right now. And the survey only takes about 10 minutes to complete. It took me about 5 minutes to complete. And it can be found at publicinput.com/bcparks.
Okay, and that's publicinput.com/BCParks. And you all need to go and you need to let your voice be heard. This is the season of voices being heard, right?
Mm-hmm.
Leonard, we just finished our primary elections yesterday, and so this is the season of letting your voice be heard, so keep it rolling, all right? Okay, so can you tell us about any community meetings?
Yeah, absolutely. So during these community meetings, information is presented about the current conditions of the county's parks, recreation, trails, and open spaces systems. In addition, there are fun interactive planning exercises that participants can engage with to share their vision with us. There's also a staffed survey station at these events where folks can take the online survey. Our first community meeting was held on February 1st at East Asheville Library, and it was incredibly fun and well attended. And our second community meeting will be taking place at Inca High School on Thursday, March 21st from 5 to 7 p.m. And we welcome anyone to come by, learn more, and share their input.
So thanks for sharing about those community meetings that's coming up. How long is this master plan survey will be open, or just the process of working through this master plan?
This planning process will take approximately 14 to 16 months. The schedule may be extended if additional public opportunities for feedback are needed. And then for those kind of updates, if you go to that same website, publicinput.com/bcparks, you can sign up for updates if anything has to change or if there are any additional meetings that we'll be having. But the adoption of the plan is targeted for winter of 2024.
Yeah, and I want to back up a little bit, talk about a little bit about kind of our survey and kind of our public engagement events and kind of some of the feedback that we're hoping to receive. I want to be sure to kind of communicate that you're not going to get anybody in trouble by providing kind of like what some may perceive as negative feedback. So if there are areas of our parks and recreation department, our greenways, or our open space, or maybe lack thereof in the county that you would like to see improved, that's the kind of feedback we want to see. Like, I can't reiterate enough, you're not going to get anybody in trouble. Please just give us your honest feedback on these surveys. We like hearing that we're doing a good job as well, but we really need to know how we can better meet the needs of our community.
And so that's why it's so important that all communities get involved in this. So we're actually, saying what we need. Because I think a lot of times people think of park, they think of slides, swings. They don't think about walking trails. Leonard, help me out. And there's a lot of races and things like that happen. Tables, that you can have, like lunches and dinners and just places you can gather. It's not all about your kids or grandkids running around on the park. It's also therapeutic. So, we need to make sure that people are understanding that there are so many uses for our parks. Okay, so how long does this planning process take?
Yeah, so it's going to be, the process is, like Catalina said, was going to be around like a year. So we started this January. The goal is kind of like, we'll really be wrapping stuff up and presenting stuff to the commission around December or January of next year. But like we said, if we establish a need for more input, then that may extend the timeline just a bit. And to back up on something you just said that I thought was interesting is, I mean, I kind of focused on like traditional parks and stuff, but something that we have heard from the community is that, one thing you mentioned was community gathering space.
Yes.
And a lot of other counties or communities have more like indoor geared community gathering space. We currently don't have that, except for kind of in our community centers that are very kind of rural, spread throughout the county. But a lot of times people are seeking a little bit more kind of centrally located indoor gathering space to host an event of sorts, and we really don't have that currently. So I mean, that's one thing. Just because we don't have kind of that typology right now doesn't mean that there's not a need for it. So please let us know about that as well.
You know, and this is me going into something I would like to see at a park. Because, you know, I always like to see stuff at parks. But you know how like you go and like you repurpose, like if a tree falls and you repurpose because it's large. If like we could take like some of those natural things, like say parts of tree stumps and stones, and put them like in a circle so that people can have like a natural circle to sit in to like do group activities and things like that. I think that would be like kind of cool. Like if we're repurposing the things that are either like supposed to be removed or they don't need it in that area anymore. I would just like to see more things of nature being used in that area.
That's great point.
It brings you to one of the ideas about conserving this area. You hear a lot of people talk about coming to the mountains and enjoying the beauty and trying to prevent as much, you know, less development to take away those mountain views and conserving some of our natural habitat. So will the environmental and local habitats be considered when creating this master plan?
Yes, so critical environments and local habitats will be included in the evaluation and potential recommendations for preservation or conservation of open spaces, greenways, or other passive recreation opportunities based upon community input on needs and priorities in alignment with the county's Comprehensive Plan 2043.
Now, I have this question that's not even on here. Which is our largest park? Like out of everything, which one is our largest one? And where is it located?
That's a good question. I don't know, because like if you counted the lake at Lake Julian, maybe Lake Julian, but I would say that our big three, being Charles D. Owen, Lake Julian, and the Buncombe County Sports Park, are all our largest parks. And they're all very similar. Probably in land mass alone, probably the sports park.
Oh, okay.
That is located on Smoky Park Highway. Yes, it's in that area. I have to close my eyes and remember what that area is called. And that one is really neat because they have those frisbee game things where you toss the frisbee or some kind of disc.
Golf.
And you disc golf. And you throw the disc and it goes into the lid. It's the first time I played it there. And that's where I tore my meniscus playing kickball. Playing kickball. I know. That shows how like my park access should be very limited. But if you are good at running and things of that nature and you're not worried about where your arms should go, because that's why I tore my meniscus. I didn't know where to put my arms while I was running. And so I was distracted. But if you're good at those things, there are so many things at these parks that you can really get into. You can start having kickball games with your kids or teaching your kids how to play those games. I see a lot of people play soccer. Now, like I said, I do not have an athletic bone in my body. If I do, I'm saving it for something else. I've just never seen it. But if you're like me, the disc golf game is so safe. It is so safe. And there are things for everybody to do. It is, Charles D. Owen has a wheelchair compatible swing, right?
Correct.
And that is really nice. And so we're looking more into making our parks more accessible for everyone. And so I think that's one thing we all should also look at. It's like going out and seeing how these parks are being more inclusive and things of that nature.
Go ahead.
You can go ahead.
I was going to say, it's one thing that our relatively new director, Allison Daines, and myself kind of have as kind of a value that we really want to make not only make them more inclusive, but also more accessible in different ways. And you're right, we do currently have some kind of standalone equipment that is accessible equipment, but oftentimes the like path to or from said equipment is not that accessible. So it's something we're trying to look at more holistically, is looking at accessibility and how we can provide not just those standalone pieces, but how can we design spaces a little bit more universally so that more people can access more of the facility in general.
Oh yeah.
And that park, the sports park, they had some upgrades to their fields out there, right?
Correct.
Y'all can speak to that. What did they do?
Yes.
Yeah. So we recently got. I'm trying to think of when it finally happened.
So I'm proud to report that we actually just received our final like certificate of occupancy for that like yesterday. So all of the permits went through and stuff like that. But we've been operating on a temporary CO for a couple months now. So
awesome. And we've got some, brand new artificially turfed fields with automated lights that go on at night and some fancy fencing. And there's some restroom upgrades that are occurring, I think, at 2 locations of the park right now. And hopefully more.
Yeah, because the restrooms are so important. You do not realize that until you have a toddler or you're older. That a game changer. Those 2 points of your life. Exactly.
The field improvements out there have been huge because it really allows for more playable field hours. So prior to me being here, I'm told that, and I can see it on the other fields that are out there, but those fields get used a ton out there. So really, with the artificial turf, you're able to play on them a lot more without having to close them down for maintenance and rest. And then our lighting actually adds quite a bit of playable hours as well. So we're happy about that, and we're actually looking to do at least 3 more of those fields out there with a recent TDA grant that we received. So
that is nice.
That's good. So we know a lot of times when we work on these larger like master plan projects, we often work with a consultant. So who are we working with to assist the county with this system-wide master plan?
Yeah, I can speak to that some too. So the primary consultant that we have for the master plan is Kimley Horn. They're a nationwide firm. In our state, they're kind of based out of Raleigh, Durham. But they also have, as sub-consultants, they have Equinox Environmental, who is a local firm, and then another firm, Barry Dunn, who's kind of concentrating on that kind of programming aspect of the master plan. So 3 very capable firms, and one local firm who is very in the know and been very tied to kind of master planning efforts in the past. So very strong team.
Yeah. And so, and people are always wondering, like, how do you come up with this? Who did you speak to? Where do you? So was there like a long process before you even found these folks to do this, or did you all kind of have an idea because of the work you've seen them do?
Yeah, so it goes out to like an RFP process.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just like we would bid out any other kind of project for the county, like a building project or design of a building. It goes out, and then firms submit packages to us. We go through an interview process at different firms, and they were the one that was selected.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And so we have folks who are probably listening to this and they're going, I want to know more. Well, how can they learn more?
Well, in order to learn more about the Parks Master Plan, you can go to the website publicinput.com/bcparks, and there you can learn all of the information that you're probably looking for. You can find our contact information to send us an email. You can subscribe for email updates, and you can take the online survey, which you definitely should if you haven't already.
And okay, so we hear about all the things that are going on with the park. What are some fun things that are coming up that our listeners need to know about?
So one of my something that I'm really excited about is our doggy egg extravaganza. That's going to be taking place on March 23rd at 12 p.m. at Buncombe County Sports Park in the dog park. This event is going to have a small and large dog division, and each division will have about 30 minutes to find as many hidden eggs filled with treats as possible. Dogs who find the most eggs will receive a special prize, which is a secret. And while admission is free, pre-registration is required because there are limited spots available. And registration actually just opened this past Monday and will be closing on March 20th. So I highly recommend securing your spot now because those are probably going to go very quickly. And then another exciting thing coming up is our spring break day camps. The registration for that also just opened this past Monday and will be closing on March 27th. And those spring break day camp programs are for youth ages 8 to 12, and they will take place on April 2nd at Charles D. Owen Park and on April 4th at Lake Julian Park from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. And these 9-hour days will be filled with various workshops and skills courses led by the Asheville Sailing Club, Buncombe County's environmental educators, and our own Parks and Recreation staff. And the cost per day camp is $10. So again, I would recommend everyone to register as soon as possible because there are limited spots available for that as well. But it's going to be super exciting, and it is our first year having these spring break day camps. So that's exciting.
That is exciting. It's like kids and nature. It's like, I don't know about, like anybody else, but I remember growing up as a kid and like dirt was like amazing, especially like at his age, like 8 to 12. Yeah. How many mud pies did you make? How many times did you take the mud and roll it up into a leaf, and you don't even know what kind of leaf it is? You may still have poison ivy right now, and you're like, oh. And how many, if you had older siblings, how many of them made you eat the mud?
Yeah, I would eat the mud.
Sugar in it.
I would get like roly-polies, and I would flick them into the little balls and keep them as pets.
Oh yeah, I used to collect frogs, and I got in trouble for that because I would put them in my pants pocket. That's a whole different story. That story goes real dark real quick. So we are almost out of time, and so what I always do is I love to have our guests, share one more thing that they really want our audience to know. And so I'm going to start with you again, Catalina, because you're here on my side. So.
Well, what I would like everyone to know is Parks and Recreation is just about to kick off our year of 2024 events. So it would be amazing if you could follow us on Facebook and Instagram. That way you can stay up to date with all of our events, because I only listed 2, but we have a pretty hefty year of events coming up. So definitely take a look at those. There's definitely something for everyone, from guided hikes to kids fishing tournaments to Festival of Lights.
Oh yeah.
So just be sure to follow us. And we also have a newsletter. If you go to buncombecounty.org/parks, there's a very large button that says subscribe to our newsletter, and you should also do that in addition to taking the survey.
Yeah. All right, Thomas.
Yeah, for me, I feel like the thing I want people to know is there's some exciting things coming. Like I feel like there's some kind of pent up demand in our community for some of these things to actually happen, especially like as I talk about our greenway projects that the county is managing, and they're coming. They're since I've been here, we've been able to push them forward quite a bit, and I'm really excited about moving some of these projects into construction. The community has a great kind of greenway advocacy group, a couple of them, and they let their voices be heard, and I've appreciated all of the history that they've been able to kind of update me on. And if anybody else is out there that has any more kind of history around Buncombe County parks or Buncombe County greenways, don't hesitate to reach out to me. My email address is thomasgull@buncombecounty.org. It's Thomas.Gull, right?
Yeah.
Thomas.Gull@buncombecounty.org. I'm glad to. I'm still learning. Like I said, only been here about a year. But please let me know what you think about our parks, so we can better meet the needs of the community.
Oh yeah, Leonard.
And I'll just follow up with that again, that the county is currently working on the system-wide plan, and we really want to hear from our community. We already have one community event, but there is another event coming up, which will be on Thursday, March the 21st, and it's from 5 to 7 p.m. at Inca High School. in the Candler community, and that's 475 Inca Lake Road, Candler, North Carolina. And so again, the purpose of a lot of these shows is to inform community, but we want you to participate in that process as well. Go out, fill out the survey, sign up for updates, and get involved. And you can always go to our Buncombe County Engage page, and it is www.publicinput.com/BC Parks, and that's how you can stay up to date on this master plan as it proceeds, and you can fill out the survey and stay informed about this master plan.
All right. So I'm ZaKiya Rogers, and you know what I do, but before I do it, I just have one suggestion. For that doggy extravaganza, I just ask that when the small dogs go out to start looking for their eggs, that you all play Who Let the Dogs Out. And then when the larger dogs go out, you play Atomic Dog. I just feel like it will add such a dynamic.
It will.
Not only for the dogs, but for the audience. So, you all can you all can put my name on that too. I'm just saying that fell in my heart. So with that being said, who is letting you all out? It's not us, but it can be you. So we just heard about all the stuff our parks are doing. What are we doing? Are we still holding ourselves hostage in our houses and saying there's nothing to do in Asheville, especially Asheville, Buncombe County?
Mm-hmm.
And when we have all this light out that's getting ready to come back to us, because wait a minute.
It goes up on Sunday.
Yeah, they're springing forward on Sunday. They're still in that 1 hour that they've been taken from us since the day we were born. And they're coming to get it again. So, but we're getting ready to have more daylight. Are you going to take yourself out? Enjoy the park. Look at the park. It is not about just, having, you know what? I don't care if you are 60. Get on the swing. Take yourself for a swing. Now, I'm not going to say get on the slide because, I'm not responsible for that. But get on the playground. Get to Lake Julian and get in the boat. Do something that you haven't done. Breathe in that air. And Buncombe County is trying to make sure that we all have access to breathe in that air, take our shoes off and feel the grass in our feet, throw disc golf, and all those things. But we have to let ourselves out. We have to decide if we're going to engage in our community, because this is our community. And we exclude ourselves when we do not include ourselves. So, with that being said, we're going to be springing forward next week, losing that hour, but we'll still be back every other Wednesday to get you tapped in.
Thank you for listening to Tapped In, Buncombe County's half hour to empower, here on WRES 100.7 FM in Nashville. Learn more about today's topics at buncombecounty.org. Otherwise, stay tuned for more great episodes coming up.